Afternoon, my name is Felipe. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to continue the studies of the international logistics. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. If you enjoy the video, give us a like. Don't forget, support this channel with donations. Start the notifications and share this video with your friends. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you very much. Let us start. Add a commentary, make your question. If you're going to buy at below. In 1992, the 10 major ports of entry into Canada for truck and rail shipments from the United States were in descending order: Buffalo, Detroit, Port Huron, Champlain, New York, Blaine, Alexandria Bay, Pasadena, Highgate Springs, East Sweetgrass, and Derby Line. Shipping goods to and from Mexico is not considered to be as easy. The U.S. Motor Carrier Act of 1982 also required Mexico to lift their restrictions on U.S. truckers, but Mexico did not. At present, prohibitions against U.S. trucks in Mexico are strictly enforced. Within the United States, however, the interstate Mexico are strictly enforced. Commerce Commission's (ECC) has allowed foreign trucks to operate in special commercial zones within select metropolitan rates. Commercial zones are established by ECC in most urban areas. They are considered as one origin or one destination for rate-making purpose. The size of these zones are determined by the population, the U.S. border community. The commercial zone for Mexican carriers is in San Diego area, including the city, and 50 miles outside of the city. For the border towns, the Tecate, Calexico, and Andrade, the commercial zone extends only 3 miles past city limits. A spokesman for the commercial zone extends only 3 miles past city limits. A spokesman for the California Trucking Association complained that U.S. restrictions were not being enforced, that the Mexicans operate outside the zones, had unsafe equipment, and pay lower wage rates than U.S. firms. Cargoes is often transferred between U.S. and Mexican equipment because better U.S. equipment will be stripped once it's south of the border. After the Mexico City earthquake in 1980s, U.S. trucking firms that carry relief supplies insisted on transferring the relief cargo to Mexican equipment at the border. If not, they would have made an additional and involuntary contribution. U.S. railroads will sometimes embargo rail shipments to Mexico until the Mexican rails release certain numbers of U.S. rail cars to that U.S. railroads feel are being held hostage. In the past few years, northbound traffic crosses the border very slowly because of detailed inspections for drugs and illegal aliens. There is a huge volume of trade between the United States and Mexico, with the main reason being that the low Mexico wage rate has made the area just south of the border the seat for many manufacturing and assembly operations, known as maquiladoras. The early entrants to the border areas were mainly electronics and clothes manufacturers and some wood products companies. Initially, most of the jobs that these firms brought to Mexican laborers were simple and labor-intensive. During the late 60s and early 70s, however, an increasing number of jobs requiring more skill were brought to the border. An increasing number of jobs requiring more skill were brought to the border and areas. Also in the mid-70s, U.S. automobile manufacturers, most notably Ford, began building state-of-the-art plants in Mexico. Some firms located in Mexico in order to avoid the increasingly stringent worker safety and environmental protection regulation in the United States. The text will look in some detail at a description of the transportation practices and issues of movement freight across the U.S.-Mexico border. The discussion will go into more detail than for other topics in this book. This detail is a realistic representation of practices involved in moving goods across many borders through the world. Although some of the items discussed are not necessary transportation, they serve as impediments to the swift and orderly movement of goods. It's a disharmony between the two governments. Laws and regulations concerning transportation, export, and export that inhibit smooth product flow across the border. Not only are the rules different, but so are the methods of monitoring, measuring, and enforcing them. Yet somehow the system works. Going south, virtually all freight going to the maquiladora plants along the California border travel by truck. Many high-tech electronic components made in California are then sent to the maquiladoras for final assembly. Some materials coming through the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach and traveling bound to the maquilas. One practice that inhibits international trade between the United States and Mexico requires that a trailer bound for the maquilas must be picked up at a U.S. point by a Mexican union driver and a Mexican tractor. However, Mexican drivers are limited to drive only the international border areas, which means that the pickup site must be close to the border. From this point, the Mexican trade can take the load to the border to be cleared by Mexican customs and then delivered into the maquila plant, although it's assumed that only Mexican truck drivers can transport freight of certain side of the border. In fact, U.S. drivers are allowed to move trailers in Mexico. The Mexican Ruiz Cortines presidential decree of 1955 say that U.S. equipment can be operated in Mexico with these two stipulations. The U.S. carrier must have a legal title to the goods. The problem is that the law is not implemented consistently along the entire boundary. In Baja California Norte, the Mexican drivers' unions have successfully argued to Mexican government officials that the maquilas do not have the right to transport goods in Mexico, even their own equipment. The unions contend that parent foreign corporations, not the Mexican maquiladora companies, hold title to the